you just got acquitted.
Yeah.
I mean, like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I noticed, that you seem very calm. You don't seem like someone who's just been through, had his mind blown.
Yeah, and the inside I'm freaking out, but the best thing you can do, you freak out, everybody else freaks out. It's like a chain reaction.
Yes.
So the best thing I can do is stay calm.
Do you feel like you've been watched over?
I believe God's been on my side through the beginning.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse interview that aired on Tucker Carlson's show last night, which was Monday, November 22nd, 2021. Now, I would play that here, but of course I can't. For number one, it's very long, and for number two, copyright reasons, but I'll place that in the description box below if you want to see the full thing without my commentary for yourself. Now, let's get into what happened during the interview. First things first, this was recorded just 2 days after the not guilty verdict, which was the correct decision because from the very beginning, this was a case of self-defense. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked by a mob of people. He was not antagonizing anybody. He did not attack anyone. He defended himself from being attacked. That's what it was from the very beginning, and that's what Kyle Rittenhouse said throughout this entire interview. Because the media, you know what they did. Not Tucker Carlson and Fox. I'm talking about your MS-13, DNC, ABC, CBS, the usual suspects. They said, oh, he's a white supremacist. He's a neo-Nazi. He's part of a militia. I'll talk more about the militia stuff in a minute. But they say all these negative things about him, painting him as a racist, talking about he crossed state lines. There was so much falsehood that came from the media that a lot of people don't really know what's going on with Kyle Rittenhouse. The reality is that he lived in that area of Kenosha, right? I think his mom lived in Antioch, Illinois, which is right across the border, like 10 minutes from where the incident happened. But he wasn't even in Antioch before this happened. He worked, Kyle Rittenhouse that is, he worked in Kenosha. And when the riots were happening, he spent the night at a friend's house in Kenosha. And he got up from that friend's house and went down to the car source to help some guys that had accepted their offer for some assistance. It's like, hey, you guys need any help with protecting your car lot? They're like, yeah, that'd be great if you could. And that's what they did. They were protecting the car lot of two, I guess I would say East Indian guys from the continent of India. They had the car lot. So they were protecting the car lot. They were helping the community out. And that was it. This whole thing about the gun cross state lines, it was his friend's gun that Kyle Rittenhouse was able to hold. It's a long rifle, 17 years old. That's not illegal in Wisconsin. That's just a law. So Kyle Rittenhouse just really wanted to clear the air and talk about all of the whole situation. Now, there were quite a few moments that made me, I don't want to say they're really revelations, but they're kind of more confirmations of what I already known. The whole thing about self-defense and whatnot, I think that was pretty clear from the beginning. There was one point where Kyle Rittenhouse said he supports the Black Lives Matter movement, and he also supports efforts against prosecutorial misconduct, not just in his case, which obviously happened, but overall, there's plenty of cases that do have prosecutorial misconduct, and I agree with that. Now, I don't agree with Black Lives Matter, okay, but I do agree with prosecutorial misconduct, 100%. It was clear in the Kyle Rittenhouse case what was going on. The guy, what's his name, Binger, pointing a rifle at the jury, just ridiculous. And his sidekick lunchbox, that whole thing was a mess from the beginning. They were trying to charge Kyle Rittenhouse with a gun charge, although they knew that it was legal. I think the gun charge was there to make it seem like, oh, he had a gun illegally and he shot people. And he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have been there. They were trying to have that charge, although it was kind of a dummy charge, to try and bolster their case against him, in my humble opinion. Maybe I'm wrong about that, just my opinion from my point of view. Either way it goes, I do agree with the fact that there is a lot of prosecutorial misconduct. The question is it a racial thing? I'm not really sure about that. So when it comes to the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I don't agree with that. A lot of people got upset at Kyle Rittenhouse when he said he supports the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't, because check it out. I don't support BLM, but I support anyone that wants to protest lawfully. Okay, I may not agree with you and what you stand for or nothing, but if you're lawful, if you're peaceful, go out there and protest. That's your right. It's not just your right when I feel like it. It's your right all the time. Now, what you don't have the right to do is hurt people, attack people, burn stuff down, tear neighborhoods apart. You don't have that right, but you have the right to lawfully, peacefully protest. So I agree with that. And I think Kyle Rittenhouse, even if he supports BLM ideologically, it's okay. I don't agree with that part, but I agree with him. And also, he's 18 years old. He was 17 when the whole thing happened. He's a young man. A lot of these kids that are his age don't even know what gender they are. So give him a break on that, but I'll move right along. Rittenhouse also brought up his lawyer, well, his initial lawyer, and Lynn Wood. I'm not quite sure if Lynn Wood was his lawyer or if it was just a guy, John Pierce. And if I said John Pierce's name wrong, if I got that incorrect, y'all let me know in the comments. But I believe he identified John Pierce as the lawyer and Lynn Wood as a guy that was raising money for his bail. Now, the incident happened at the end of August, I think August 24th or 25th. Kyle Rittenhouse, was not released from jail until I think November the 20th, sometime in November of 2020. So he was in jail for 87 days, although Rittenhouse said that there was $1 million raised of the $2 million bail in early September.
September 5th, I want to say, they had over $1 million, and bail was set and able to be posted in September. So they could have had me sign the waiver for extradition and had me back in Wisconsin, and I could have been bailed out by mid-September. But they wanted to keep me in jail until November 20th.
What was that like?
It was scary in jail. Like, you had to watch over yourself. And
so I was like, okay, why am I in jail for 87 days when I could be out in just like a week or two? I could post my bail and be out. Well, Kyle Rittenhouse said that Lynn Wood and/or John Pierce said that it'd be safer for him in jail rather than being at home with his family because of all the media pressure and all this and that. I was like, what? How does that make any sense? How am I safer in jail? Is jail a safe place? I'm not quite sure about that. You know, some may try to argue, well, there's guards everywhere, ABL, but who wants to be in jail if they could be anywhere else? I don't think that's the wave. If you could post your bail, you post your bail. You know, be out there in the free world, take your chances with the free world. That's how that goes, but I'll move on. Rittenhouse said that Lynn Wood and John Pierce and/or John Pierce were raising the money for their own benefit, and they wanted Kyle Rittenhouse to be the face of a cause, where that wasn't even the point of Rittenhouse being out there. He was just trying to protect his community. He was trying to serve his community. He was out there being the medic, and he did treat people that night. And everybody that he treated, from what I'm able to see, were rioters, were people on the BLM side or the Antifa side. So it wasn't even like he was trying to attack anybody. He was legitimately trying to be a medic. And he said during the interview that he's going to Arizona State University to try and become a nurse or maybe a lawyer, because maybe he's gone through a lot with some weird lawyers and he wants to make a difference that way. But his initial passion was to be a nurse, which is what he was out there doing that night until he got attacked by a mob of people. But Lynn Wood, guys like that, I feel like ain't nothing but trouble. I think Nick Salmon, remember the Covington kid who had the Indian guy get all in his face with a drum and do all these, and remember that? Nick Salmon, I think, also fired Lynn Wood. Rittenhouse got rid of Lynn Wood, got rid of John Pierce, and got some, what he called, competent counsel. So you have some guys like this that are out there just trying to make money off of this whole situation and not really trying to help people that they purport themselves to help. I'm seeing different reports about what Lynn Wood did with the money. Now I'm hearing that he's trying to keep the money. Like, I'm hearing a few different things. I'm hearing that he did not post the bill up until later. I'm hearing that he didn't post it at all, and that Mike Lindell and Ricky Schroeder, they posted the bill. I'm hearing that even if Linwood did post it 87 days later that since Kyle Rittenhouse didn't flee and he got found innocent, now that money comes back to you. You know, you don't just, keep that. Money comes back to you. So they're trying to keep the money for themselves. Something's wrong with the whole Linwood situation, and I think Kyle Rittenhouse and Nick Salmon have been able to adequately articulate that, but I'll digress. Ultimately here, I think Kyle Rittenhouse proved his case pretty well. It was self-defense from the beginning. There was no racial element to it at all. As far as any kind of lawsuits against these places like CNBC, ABC, et cetera, people that call him a white supremacist, a little terrorist, even people like Joe Biden, the big guy talking about white supremacists. He retweeted a video that had Kyle Rittenhouse in this montage of so-called white supremacists, right? Tucker Carlson asked him, hey, are you going to go against these guys? Are you going to pursue any kind of legal action? He was like, well, I have good lawyers and they're on the case. And then the question was asked again, but a little bit different. He was like, again, I got good lawyers are on the case, so he's not trying to ruin that whole situation. But I hope that people who said negative things about him, I mean, not just negative, you can have your opinion about someone, but just false things, including his own lawyer. I think John Pierce, who said that he was in the militia. I almost forgot about that point. His own lawyer said that Rittenhouse was part of a nondescript militia or something to that extent. He didn't even know, Rittenhouse that is, he didn't even know what a militia was up until he got out of jail and was hearing what the lawyer was saying about him on the media. He was not in the militia. He was just out there with his friend. They're trying to serve their community. That was it, and that is all. All these people that have said things like that, that are false, that are defamatory, libelous, slanderous, or whatever it is, need to be held to account. Because as I close, I'm going to say this. We can't have people be tried by the media, be tried by politicians. So, and what I mean by that is when they put out stuff like this, he's part of a militia, he's a white supremacist. When they say things like that definitively without knowing any information, it damages his ability to go and have a fair trial. Ultimately, the defense, they proved the case. The video really saved the day. I think without alternative media, which is where the video came from, I think without alternative media, this case could have gone in a really bad direction. But ultimately, the defense proved their case with what they said, with the video, with testimony, that this was nothing more than a self-defense case, and that's it. And one last thing before I close. Rittenhouse said that this case isn't even really about him. It's not about Kyle Rittenhouse. It's about the right to self-defense. And if he were to be found guilty for defending himself, then there's a precedent set right there. If he's found guilty for defending himself against those that are attacking him, how about you? Will you be next? If you are in the same situation and you got to defend yourself, will you be found guilty? That should not happen. Everyone should have the right to defend themselves in the good old US of A. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this interview? If you've seen the full thing or pieces of it, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think it was a great interview. He said what he needed to say very well, very good articulation. And I wish him well in the future. He'll be going to college, pursuing a career. I don't think there's going to be any negative backlash, especially when the real information comes out there. If the media continue to attack him and put out false allegations about that man, that's going to make it harder for him to live, which is why they need to be held accountable. I say sue CNN out of business, sue MS-13 DNC out of business, so they can't do this to anyone else to try and ruin their life with false allegations. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.